Hello everyone, today we are going to create this 3D photosphere in touchdesigner and then make it audio-reactive. Like usual, I will first show you the final effect so you can see exactly what we are creating. Then I will explain my network structure. After that, we will build in the network from scratch. So let's jump in. Now let's understand the network structure. For network, I have three parts: the audio analysis, the 3D rendering, and the post-processing. For the audio part, is quite simple. I'm grabbing the built-in component from touchdesigner, the audio analysis, and then using a select to get the high frequency data of our audio file and using it to control our visuals. And the visual we're gonna build in today is a photosphere. So I'm using a rectangular and a sphere connected to a copy to create instance of the rectangular and place it in a sphere. And I'm using my photo as a texture to it. You can be creative here, put other textures, colors you like, and the green parts are the things I use to drive my visuals. Some of them are from audio, some of them from manual input, and then also from the random generated numbers. Finally, in the post-processing part, I'm enhancing the visuals by adding additional textures and effects to make it more dynamic and interesting. And I'm using a feedback and to add a fading trail, and then add a lens distort to add the bounce effect, and then try out different combination type options to get the interesting results. Yeah, that's about it. Now let's building the whole network from scratch. First, we add a audio file in, connect to a audio device out, and connect to a info. By the way, if you hold on the control key, you can add multiple operators at a time. And then we connect our audio file.
Few inches later, day 2, day 3, day 4.
Here. Now we want to change our song to our song of choice. I'm using Krumville from Oneohtrix Point Never. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right or not. Yeah, it's a great song. Then we get an audio analysis from the palette here. In the tools, you find the audio analysis and you drag onto the panel. And then you connect it to a now. Then add select and select the high, add a mass, add a now in the end. So this is our whole audio setup. Of course, we need to enable the high to be able to use it. And now when we play the song, we should be able to. And then before we start it, there's one more thing. You want to change the file length frames to match the timeline you have here, so that it loops the whole song. And then we start the 3D rendering. For the 3D rendering part, we need a rectangular sub and a sphere sub. and a copy. We connect them to the copy. Connect copy to a geometry. Add a camera and a constant as a texture, and drag our constant to the geometry and apply to material, then render. And now we can see our sphere. Now let's understand how the copy work. The one important parameter here is the number of copies. Now it sets to 1. And what does that mean? Let's open the camera to see our geometry in a more close look. Click the panel here. We'll split our layout to 2, and then in the right hand side you select geometry viewer, where it opens the 3D geometry viewer. Right now we cannot see much because we need to lower down the size of our rectangular 0.1. So now you can have a better understanding of how the copy works. Basically, it copying our rectangular into the position of our sphere. Click W, you will see the wireframe of our sphere, and if you right click display options, and you can see all the points we have, and those points will be where we position our rectangular. And then how does the number of copies means? So if we enlarge these, by default we don't see anything. That's because we haven't moved the translate. So if we move our sphere a bit, you will see 4 of the sphere we have. So the first one is the template, and then as you enlarge the copies, you will have like the same copy of the number of copies of the same templates, in this case 4. But one thing to notice here is the number of copies does take a lot of CPU, which means you will slow down the performance. So you want to keep it still very slow, and you can make it more complex here. If you want to make more complex, you add more rows and columns, and there will be like more rectangulars. And this, it takes GPU, so it's much better in terms of performance. And then let's reset all the parameters. And now I want to add a movie file in to add a texture to it. In this case, I'm just using my pictures, and you can use other textures you like. After that, we will add a transform, and then prepare for the post-processing. For the 3D rendering, I still want to add something. Let's add a transform. Change the color to orange. So now, we have the basic rendering. We want to make it audio-reactive. To do that, we can make use of camera. Let's animate the camera. To create a movement of the camera, by default it's like not moving, and you can open the camera panel. Changing the translate to 0 will put back the camera to the origin. And then there are 2 important parameters to look at. The first is look at, and the second is pass. And to move our camera, we can either do it by moving the translate manually, or we can also using the pass stop here to let our camera to move along with a predefined pass to have more control of our visual. So to do that, we can make use of a stop. In this case, I use a circle stop. and then connect it to a null. And we will pass the null to our pass sub. So by default, we don't see the pass, but it's there because you need to open the template. And then you can see it inside. Okay, maybe I add a trans. Now it's XY plane. Let's change to ZX. So now you see our path in the purple line, and we can add a transform to increase range. Now our camera is moving along these paths, but we still have one issue, is the camera is not facing the sphere. To do that, we need a null cam, and then we will position it to the lookat. So now you see like our camera is look at our geometry, and to move the camera, we see here there's a position where it ranges from 0 to 1. Therefore, we need to create a value that is ranging from 0 to 1 and repeating, looping within this range. To do that, we need an LFO. Select the type to ramp and connect it to a null. Connect it to a null. Yes. To see the range, you can add a trail. It's always helpful to have a trail to see the range of the data. And then we can use this to use the null for to our camera. Oh, yeah. I mean, I drop our reference here. And now you see it's moving very fast, so we want to lower down the frequency, something like 0.8. Okay. Now we've got the moving sphere. I've noticed something strange. There is some glitchiness on my sphere. To solve this, we go to our circle sub, and we pump up the division to something very large, like 1000. Now it's much more smoother, as you can see in the sphere here. And then we want to add some more dynamic to our visuals. To do that, we need a noise. And I will add 3 channels, X, Y, and Z. And we want to change the end to our file length. And then we use our noise to drive our copy. To drive the copy transition, and we need to increase the number of copies. In my case, I use 2 for now. And then we plug our X to actually I use Y to translate both of them. And you can see it's moving like this. I will changing the transform to 10, so that it looks better. Okay. Hello everyone, as you can probably tell, I also changed the background color, as I think this color looks better to my visuals, and I forgot the parameter, so I just copy from elsewhere. And then we do the final part, the post-processing. We am building a feedback loop, connect these to a feedback, and a level, and a transform, composite. Connect our previous one and the final one to the composite, a change to a stop, and feedback to feedback. we want to lower down our opacity and increase the scale. Okay, yeah, for some reason it's increased already. I don't know, to see how it looks like. And
2,000 years later.
Yep. And then we want to make it more audio-reactive using the high to drive our opacity. So it will be up now 1 high, and this is gonna be too much, so I divide it by 20. You can find the ones looks good on your visual. I'll keep it this for now, and then we add our final lens distort, and turn on the invert, and I will use 0.28 0.76 and yeah. And optical center, again, we want to use our high. And I will okay, so that's about it. Finally, I will show you a few different ways to make a variation of the final input so that you might use it in different sections of your songs. So the first thing we can do is, instead of using a constant, we can use our photo as the background. So we add our photo to a feed, connect it to a composite, and then add our final input together, choose average, and let's see how it looks like. And in the feed I will change the image to fill. I really like these effects. I think it fits to the song. It gives me a nostalgia feeling, so I like the old vintage image kind of look to it. Another thing is you can play around with different operation in the composite. I think the negate one could be interesting, depending on the texture you put. And let's try out the one. Screen is also really nice, I would say. And then you can also changing the distance between the copy to add more copy. And you can also use the keyboard to control the number of copies and the translate numbers using a simple keyboard in to create dynamic effects. And also the sphere here, as we said, we can change numbers and rows. Yes, I think that's about it. Did I use the... Yeah, I used the high to drive. And that's it. This is the end of the tutorial. Hope you have fun and enjoying learning. And see you next time.